Good afternoon, welcome to the December 21st Select Board meeting at 6 o'clock. I call this meeting to order. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A checklist to ensure meetings are compliant with the right to know law during the state of emergency. Select Board meeting December 21st, 2020. As chair of the Haverhill Select Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is a physical location to observe, listen contemporaneously to this meeting, in addition to the electronic means to attend, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom conferencing for this electronic meeting. All members of the Select Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting in person or through this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following phone number, 1-929-436-2866 in the U.S., or by clicking on the following website address, https://zoom.us/meeting. Meeting ID 955-6222-7491, passcode 838947. Access information also provided on the Select Board agenda. D, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the Town of Haverhill at www.haverhill-nh.com. C, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. If anybody has a problem, please call 603-728-5192 or email at townmanager@haverhill-nh.com. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. Matthew. Here. Howard. And Fred. Here. Steve. Here. Darwin. Here. All present. Agenda approval. I would like to delete Chief of Police under Town Employee Appearances, and I would like to add under Old Business Town Meeting Schedule Review. Is there a motion? I'll make that motion. Seconded by Matt. Seconded by Howard. Is there any discussion? All in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Matt? Aye. Howard? Aye. Fred? Aye. Steve? Aye. Darwin? Aye. Unanimous. Consent agenda. Approved minutes of previous meeting, December 7th, 2020, Select Board minutes. To decide forms and other warrants. Is there a motion? I'll make that motion. Motion by Matt. Seconded by? I'll second it. By Fred. Any discussion? Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Matt? Aye. Howard? Aye. Fred? Aye. Steve? Aye. Darwin? Aye. Unanimous. We have no scheduled public appearances. At this time, we do not have any town employee appearances. Is there any public wanting to address the board?
I have 3 questions, and for the record, I'm Ed.
Ed, would you do me a favor and step a little closer?
Yeah, absolutely. 3 questions. First of all, I know that you've got town meeting scheduled, you just put it back on the agenda, so I'm wondering if you're still thinking about having a virtual meeting, or if there's something different that you can think about now with maybe the vaccine coming out, maybe something a little different, having an in-person meeting in March.
Virtual.
You decided it's going to be virtual.
Board voted.
That's done.
Done.
Okay.
We are going to discuss tweaking it a little bit here, though, in a few minutes.
Okay. Another question I was going to have for Chief Sullivan. Are we still on the on-call overnight schedule? Yes. Okay. That makes sense. I understand. I get it.
Yep.
And then the third and last question I had was commissioners meeting down at Hayward Corner last week. The commissioners had mentioned something about there was some talk that the select board was thinking about voting to not fund fire departments, and I'm wondering what you folks are thinking about that. It was something that caused some consternation down there in the Hayward Corner precinct.
I don't know what happened at the corner meeting, but the precinct commissioners from the corner are coming to see us on January 4th, our next meeting, to ask that question.
Okay. And they have an impression that there may be a vote that's being thought about, considered, or otherwise, and I just wondered if that was the case. So, okay, we'll wait till the 4th. And then
I can paraphrase what we're going to say on the 4th pretty much, is that the select board has the town manager's budget, and then, which we will review, and then it goes to the budget committee, which we will review and we will listen to comments. And then we have a public meeting, which we listen to comments.
Yeah.
And then the board has a vote. So we are a long ways from deciding on anything.
Understood. Okay, thank you. And the last is actually just a comment. If anybody needs a Christmas tree, please take them on the way out. They're going kind of okay. Didn't go as well as I thought they might, but I'd rather have somebody who can use them. Please take it. Otherwise, we'll just have to dispose of them. So thank you all very much.
Girlfriends love them.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Any public wanting to address the board on Zoom?
Do they have anybody?
No. No. Good. New business. Fadden property authorization to sell. Is that you, Jennifer, or is that?
So we took the property formerly owned by Priscilla, the late Priscilla Fadden, for tax deeding. And we had some issues with that property with Department of Health and Human Services, so we had to pull it from the auction this past year. But the house is in pretty good condition, and I think we probably would benefit by putting it out on the open market with a real estate agent. Especially the market is coming back, it's improving. And so what we just need is permission from the board, or authorization from the board, to allow Bridget and myself to move forward with disposing of that property. I would probably say by the best means possible.
Well, if we've got, I got a question. If you've got a good property that the town has taken over for tax purposes, and then you've got all these other properties the town takes over for tax purposes but not that good, and all of a sudden the town decides to sell all the good property because you get good money for it, but put all the other ones up for auction, that doesn't seem right.
So I'd like to get rid of it, but I don't want to be able to keep having to do maintenance on it, and before it starts falling into disrepair.
I understand, but still, you're taking a good property and you're going to try and sell it through a real estate agent, and you're going to take the junk properties and try and auction them on. That doesn't sit right with me.
Well, this was set to go to auction. You just said.
It was, and,
Well, it's held up because of the right.
no, it's held up because of the Department of Health and Human Services, because they have a lien on the property, and we were trying to negotiate, how much they were going to get.
Okay.
But we're limited anyway by what the town could actually recoup from. We're limited.
We are, and actually, there was a recent change to the law. Before we sold the property within 3 years of taking it for tax deeding, we could only reclaim, for our taxes and penalties and fees and stuff like that. If we owned it after 3 years, then we were able to keep 100% of what we sold it for. The change to the law is now that regardless of when we sell it, we still can only recoup our taxes and everything. So if we can't, because the Department of Health and Human Services is involved, they have a good chunk of money in this, so they want to make sure that it goes for the most that it can so that they can get theirs. In order for us to do that, our best shot would be to sell it on the open market. Otherwise, they could potentially come back and ask for some of the money
The
that
town,
we would. Yeah, according to the attorney, she said that it is possible that they could recoup money, and the town wouldn't get everything that we were owed.
How could they recoup money? You're saying if we don't list it with a real estate broker, that we could be on the hook for money from HHS?
They have in mind a certain amount of money that they need to get, and according to the lawyer, and if we can't recoup a significant amount of money, they could prevent us from recouping all of our taxes and fees and stuff like that.
No, I don't believe that's correct, because I believe since we now own the property, we are number one as far as repayment. That's how it should work.
All I
And
know
so-
is that
It's important to note that what we're owed is just back taxes and administrative fees. And so that's what we'll recoup as a town. Anything else would then go to DHHS to pay back their lien, and then the remainder would go to the estate.
okay.
So
So
the
I
town
know-
isn't going to profit necessarily off this. Either way we sell it, no matter how we sell it.
But I did pose that question to the attorney and said, I said, they can't come back after us and cut into
No, they
what's
can't.
owed us.
That's
And she
an
said
unknown.
they absolutely could.
That's an unknowable, because, today the real estate market could fall out and the house could be worth nothing. So that's, and if it sells if you list it and it's sold by a real estate broker, I'm assuming it's going to be sold for a fair market value. Something's only worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Mhm.
So,
So unconfuse me here. We're only allowed to retain so much money from the sale. We can't retain all the profits from the sale.
we only can be made whole. We can only be made whole.
So once the real estate agent sells it,
Mhm.
and we're made whole,
Mhm.
right? And then the Health and Human Services is made whole, there's money left over, where does that go?
It will
Estate.
go to the estate, or unless there's another lien holder out there, and then it would go
Right,
to
but the
that.
town is first, then HHS, and then the state.
Yes.
Okay. Someone has a question.
Is there someone from the family who was interested in buying it?
I do not know.
We've had a couple of people interested in buying the property, but we can't directly sell to them.
Even if they were family? I mean, I thought there was family that was,
No, we can't. We either have to go, we can't sell to an abutter because it's a developed property. We can only sell undeveloped land to
What's the
abutters.
What address?
on the college highways.
It's on Dartmouth College Highway.
It's like very big along and,
What's up there,
Four before you drop down over the hill, isn't it? 3 or 4, third or fourth one before you drop down over the hill.
on the right-hand side is,
So our options are to sell it, authorize the board to sell it through a real estate agent now, or wait till tax auction sometime next year.
Yeah, but then that's gonna cost the town money because we're gonna have to pay for upkeep and winterizing and maintenance and heating and all that.
Just like any other property we have.
Sure.
Now, what's the value of the home?
I have to get online and,
What would it sell for?
I think, well, I think we could probably put it at least 100,000 or more.
It should be 130.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100 to 130.
I think the recommendation was 146, but
I mean, I think it behooves us to try to collect some money if we can for DHHS too, because, I mean, you know, that's our money too. So if we can collect more than auction value added, I think it behooves everyone.
Is that your motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize sale of the house.
Motion by Steve, seconded by Matt.
Authorize sale with a real estate.
With a real estate agent.
On the market.
I'll second. Motion by Steve, seconded by Matt. Any further discussion? All in favor will say aye. Those opposed, nay. Matt? Aye. Howard? Aye. Brett?
Yeah, aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Darwin? Aye. It's unanimous.
Darwin,
Yes.
you have a gentleman on Zoom who would like to address the board. He was trying to log in when you were on your public comment section.
Sure, bring it on.
Hi, everyone can hear me okay?
We can hear you. Your name, sir, please.
Yeah, it's Eric Erickson. I live on Simmons Road.
What can we do for you, Mr. Harrison?
Well, so I have one question and I wanted to give a little bit of some backstory. Hopefully you can just give me some clarification. As it turns out, I actually own 3 houses on Simmons Road. They're all fully occupied. And it's a class 5 public road. And this was a continuation of our conversation or your conversation from the last meeting. 2 of the houses are currently being plowed and maintained, and 1 is not. And I can give a little bit of backstory. It's the reason I think that's the case, but my question is, what do I have to do to get all of my houses plowed?
So can I give a little background on that on Simmons Road
Yes, please.
to the board? So Simmons Road doesn't go all the way through at this point, and I'm not really sure when that stopped happening and how it got overgrown and impassable. But so Simmons Road comes in from 2 different directions. One, it comes in and it goes past a number of houses, and that section is plowed. From the other side, there's 1 house at the end of the section that would be passable, and ends at the section in the middle that is, I don't know, probably a quarter of a mile or a half a mile of road that is not passable. And so the section of road with the 1 house on it was, I think, Mr. Erickson, you purchased that last year or the year before? I think.
Yeah, I purchased it the year before.
Right.
And I wouldn't characterize it as impassable. Maybe, I mean, my wife owns a minivan and she drives that. I mean, we have to pay at our own personal expense to have it plowed, but it is passable and we traverse it every day with my wife's minivan. So, but how you characterize this situation, I wouldn't call it a half mile. It's probably less than a quarter mile between the 2 houses, where the 2 houses are plowed and then the 3rd house. But you had described it correctly that you can come in from the other side, which the condition of the road is much better from that side.
Right.
Can we just clarify where the 2 ends are? I know that there's an end off from, on the top of the lake, drew a blank on the road name.
Simmons?
No, the main road, the road you live on first.
Oh,
Lakeside Drive, Lakeside Drive, right? One ends on Lakeside Drive. Where's the other end of Simmons Road?
No, let me clarify. Actually, Simmons is off of Carr Road near the gas station, the Swiftwater Way Station.
Okay, I'm thinking Stanford, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mountain Lakes,
Yeah, wrong one.
Simmons, I know where it is now, okay. I'm set. It's off Carr Road. Yeah.
So, Mr. Erickson, so in your mind, because we're plowing your other two properties, we should just naturally plow this third one? Is that?
Well,
if
I think
can
that's, if you can entertain me for a moment, there was that third property that I'm talking about. There was a nice woman and husband who built that, and it wasn't yet complete. And we bought it from them because unfortunately he died. He had brain cancer, and they were never up here in the wintertime. And now it's fully occupied. So I have a concern, you know, we have trash service and our propane guy comes down and, you know, and it's a class 5 road. I mean, it may not be in the greatest condition because I think that you've had some roads that you inherited from some time ago that aren't splendid. But the truth is, I think it's a class 5 road and I think it should be plowed.
So I think that this is one of the roads that would behoove us to look further into in more detail before we come back and have that road discussion again. You can see, I put up on the screen Carr Road, if you can see it on the screen. We plow from Carr Road down Wildwood and then down Simmons Road to the last house that you can see here on the left. We have not plowed from that point back to Carr Road because it doesn't go all the way through. And so the house is on lot 132. That's the road. That's the end of the small section that is not plowed. And then in between is not plowed. And would have to be improved in order to be a road that we could even do that to.
You know, honestly, the place that, Bridget, you're talking about in between the two houses, that I think is in the poorest quality. But from Carr Road, from the high side, exactly where your mouse is, all the way down to that property, I think is in fairly good shape, and it's fairly wide. And I would imagine that if your plow guy comes through that, there wouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, I pay, you know, thousands of dollars to have it plowed. That whole road, I'm paying for the road to be plowed. So, and we plow all the way through. So, and your guy actually passes by my second house pretty far down because that's where the turnaround is. So there's a little, yeah, exactly. A little bit further down from where your pointer is where the turnaround is. And so anyway, there is a small portion that, you know, granted is not in great shape, but honestly, you know, your plow guy, you know, raise it up a couple inches so he doesn't hit any, you know, any issues with it, and just go one direction, you know, down the hill. That's easy enough. That's what our guy does without any problem. And like I said, my wife's minivan, it's not like some, you know, 4-wheel drive truck with chains can traverse the thing. So it's not in such horrible shape that I think it would be, you know, damaging to the plow truck.
I don't think it's realistic to think that a highway plow truck can be lifted an inch like that. I mean, I do plow and I have small trucks and I understand exactly what you're saying, and you can do that a lot easier with the little truck than you're going to be able to with the highway plow truck. I mean, for me personally, I would think that to discuss this option of plowing to your house, there would need to be a turnaround where your second house is to turn the plow truck around, or the third house, the one that's not plowed now, or else I don't think it's something that we can discuss without improving the road.
So we have 4 or 5 roads coming back to the board to look at again. I'm hoping for our next meeting, which is the 4th. So, Bridget, if you'd have Colton look at Mr. Erickson's property, please, and the road, and when we
I'll
talk
have him-
about
Yeah,
I can
this
have him
is
go
actually-
back. Colton and I actually visited the site last summer, and it was Colton's opinion that there wasn't enough room to turn around down at the bottom, and that it was his opinion at that time that he would not be able to get through the section of road that Eric is saying that they're plowing this year. So
It's
I would
actually, it was
definitely
2 summers ago. It was 2 summers that I remember coming to your office and hoping that we could resolve it back then. And at the time, you had said that it needed to be resolved. So I would imagine, I don't know what else needs to be done. I mean, we've had that information kind of established for a year and a half now.
So let's let 2 weeks go by. Let's have the road agent look at it again and allow some select board members to go out to Mountain Lakes. And we'll discuss it in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your attention to this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on Zoom?
Nope.
Trying to break in?
Nope, that was it.
Thank you. Under new business, we did fact property proposed public right-of-way regulations.
Right, so-
Go ahead, Bridget. Tell us why
Yeah.
we're looking at this.
I'll give you a little bit of feedback. So you were provided a draft regulation that's been drafted by DTC lawyers. This is a collective effort by most towns in the state of New Hampshire under a group split billing situation. So we're all contributing to the work that DTC has done in the last year. We're each giving a little bit to have them create this draft regulation for most towns are participating. So I'll give you a little background and I'll just read you a little section of a letter that I received in 2019. It was traditional procedures for regulating the rights of way under RSA 2231:159 are no longer sufficient. Furthermore, planning and zoning laws and procedures no longer apply to certain wireless deployments. A comprehensive public right-of-way ordinance is an important step in ensuring that the municipality can continue to regulate access to and safety within the public right-of-way while complying with those federal and state laws. So what DTC has done over the last year is develop a comprehensive right-of-way ordinance, which would apply to all entities seeking access to the public rights of way, whether for poles, conduits, attachments, or any other equipment, thereby preventing any challenges on the basis of discriminatory regulations. And this would, I had this clarified by the lawyers that this regulation would apply to any use of the land within the right-of-way of the town. So federal law also prohibits any municipal regulations that effectively prohibit the provision of telecommunication services. Therefore, a comprehensive public right-of-way ordinance needs to be crafted in a manner that ensures the municipality retains as much control over safety, location of deployments, and aesthetics without being vulnerable to a challenge on the grounds of effective prohibition. So with all of that, we opted in to allow them to, to be a part of them producing a draft regulation for public rights of way. And that's what you're being presented with for review now. They are in the process at this point in time of modifying slightly these regulations to meet town desires. So if you read through and see something you really don't like, or you have questions, or would like to see it omitted, or anything really, now's the time for the board to provide that feedback. The lawyers from DTC are willing to come and meet with you either on the 4th or the 18th in January to answer any of your questions. So tonight you're not being asked to make any decisions. It's really just to introduce this to you now that they've had the draft ordinance ready for us to review. And for you to ask any general questions of how we got to where we are and how it would benefit the town. Any questions?
I have one, Bridget. Does this, I think I'm understanding that this pertains mostly to power lines and such, but it's written, the title of it is excavation and I don't have the whole title in front of me, but so does that mean that anybody that digs in the right of way, so say somebody wants to put a water line into their house and they have to dig into the right of way to the public water system, do they have to pay the $100? Is that what this
Yes.
means?
So the only exemptions will be for driveways, signs, and existing structures within the right of way. Otherwise, all other work by residents, including utility, telecommunications, fencing, those sorts of things would be subject to this ordinance. And it has to be that way because according to federal regulations, you can't just control wireless communications and utilities. You have to either do all or none.
Sure.
So this is a draft, Steve, right?
Right,
So
right.
So if, I don't know where you got the $100, but I'm sure it's in here, but I mean, it doesn't mean we can't change that.
No, I was
Right.
just curious. Because you know, we are kind of an interesting, different ownership. So like if I want to tap into a water line in North Havel, but I've got to go onto a Havel Road in North Havel Water and Light to go ahead and do it, there's really another permitting process beyond telling what Littleton Water and Light. So, Littleton, yeah, North Havel. So I just wanted to understand the process, you know, what this was saying.
So how would that affect districts that have their own water department? Mountain Lakes has its own water department, runs its own water lines, does all that work themselves. There's nothing to do with the town, Mountain Lakes pays for it.
So that's one of
So-
the subjects that the lawyers would like to discuss with the select board as to how you want to modify this particular draft regulation to accommodate precincts. And then it would also be this type of thing that Steve was talking about would also be another thing that you could modify is the fee structure in anything really.
I don't mind fee structure. I mean, it's that I just wanted to understand the process. That's all.
Any general questions for Bridget before we get the,
Not yet.
okay, so,
Yes.
I don't know if there's gonna be room on the 4th, or how about do we do this on the 18th?
Okay.
What's the board thinking of that? Are we all right with that? What's going on with the board? Hopefully, chief of police will be in to see us. And we have, we're going to be discussing.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Try to and state.
Okay.
And you have
Yep.
and
Okay. Well, we go with that.
Your meeting will be on the 19th that week because of the holiday.
19th January.
What the holidays evening?
Will be Civil Rights Day.
What?
Civil Rights Day,
So Tuesday meeting that week, 19th. Tuesday meeting. Okay. So we'll have an attorney.
Yes.
Bridget?
Yes.
So come and-
So on the 19th?
Yes, please. See if
Okay.
that works for them. If not, be the following. I think we got too much going on the 3rd or 4th, or whatever it is.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
If they can't do it then, we can do it another meeting later. Anything else on right-of-way regulations, gentlemen?
Not yet.
That's okay. That's the second or third time I heard you say that. Not yet. Pending old business, town meeting schedule review. So, okay. So the select board voted on this a meeting or two ago, and the only change, we changed the town meeting day, we changed the hours from 8 to 7. So the school board met recently, and they want to do their own meeting and voting. Okay. So they've asked to use the Clifford Building 2 weeks after we've been here. So that means setting up all the voting. The only thing that we're going to be doing on that day is the voting. There'll be 2 ballots, one for our budget and one for election of personnel. Okay. we will have had and held all our informational meetings before then.
Right.
So, to me, it seems pretty foolish to bring everything down or leave everything up, contaminate the building twice, bring in supervisors of the checklist, bring in,
What's the reason for them not wanting to share the voting?
well, I'm not certain. I spoke with Lori Melanson a couple hours ago and asked her, why is it that we could not do this all together? And she presented it to the select board, or to the school board, and they voted to not do it together. So, one of the hangups apparently is, we are doing that voting on Friday. And she thought it might be more compatible between the town and the school if we did it on Saturday. And that way, we don't have to, we meaning the townspeople don't have to turn out twice to two different locations to just simply sign on the ballot. So I told her that I'd bring it before the board and ask if we could not have our meeting have our voting meeting, so to speak, on Saturday rather than Friday, one day later. And maybe that would include the school, maybe the select board, maybe the school board would be willing to join us and make it easier for everyone involved.
I would make that motion. I've heard some talk on the street since I voted. I wasn't here that night. I apologize, but I think that some people that I've talked to in the public would feel better if we did it on a Saturday. So I'd make the motion that we move to a Saturday.
We move to Saturday the 13th, one day later than what we have on our schedule. That's a motion by Steve. Is there a second?
So we're moving the voting.
Just the voting.
And what about the hours? Are we changing the hours?
Yeah, it's 8 to 7, so we go to 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Really?
That's the point.
Why would that affect Friday night versus a Saturday night?
People work.
Because normally people work during the week, on a weekday.
They work weekends too.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping the hours the same.
That was your motion.
That was my motion.
So the hours the same, just move the day.
Move the day from Friday to Saturday. Now, she's not promising that the school board will join us anyway, but it'd be a good compromise, and they may join us and make life easier for her.
Well, I mean, yeah, we're trying to make it easier for the
But
people.
their hours the same?
Hours the same.
Their hours were the same.
Oh, I don't know what their hours are. Steve's motion is to have a Saturday, just have one day later than what we voted on a couple of weeks ago.
So the day that you're voting on is just for the drive-through voting, which is actually going to be walk-through voting at the Clifford Building.
Yes.
Right.
Be
Yeah.
walked.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And so townspeople, instead of having 2 ballots to fill out, will have 4. That way, people like myself won't have to be dragged out twice. I'll second the motion, Steve's motion. Seems to me to be a good compromise, and Lauren Melanson doesn't promise what the select board, geez, I'll get that straight now. What the school board will do,
Well, she can't.
but it seems like a good compromise.
Okay.
Anyway, and if it doesn't happen with the school board, and we've really lost something, we move to the day. Is there any more discussion? Those in favor of the motion, they signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Matthew? Aye. Howard?
Aye.
Fred?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Darrell? Aye. Unanimous. Bridget, would you do me a favor and reach out to the superintendent and notify her
Yes.
what we've decided?
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
So can I ask a question on the voting?
Sure.
Now, going back to what we have here, you're talking about, this says drive-through voting, what exactly is that?
Walk.
Yeah, it's going to be a walkthrough.
Same as we always vote, same as we do in the past, same as last election, okay?
Yeah, all right, yeah.
But you're gonna vote before you get here, you don't have to go into the polling booth, basically. What? You can vote, when you're gonna vote, you don't have to go into a polling booth, right?
What you do?
So we set the polling booths up here.
Okay, you're gonna set it up here, why are we doing it down, town hall?
Because this is a walkthrough.
Yeah.
So you walk in this door, out that door.
Oh, yeah, so town hall has that.
Yeah, you gotta walk on the grass and it's really not
Yeah,
safe.
and March is gonna be crappy.
Yes,
Not only
sir.
that, but the hallway, yeah, there's, yeah, there's like,
A lot of people.
yeah, I got it.
There's limited access here. Were you involved in the vaccinations here?
I was.
You was. That worked out well, that is.
Yeah, okay, I'll just do it by the way, that's it.
Yeah, I know this.
It's a bigger parking lot too, you want people in the street like we have.
We're gonna have a lot of the grass, and we can control the people coming in and out.
And we don't have to reinvent the wheel here, it worked a couple of months ago.
Yeah, but town clerk, everything's gonna be here and stuff. Yep. Cool, okay, I just want to get straight.
And they're inside,
Right.
versus, I guess, the school last year, they're outside.
So they're drive-through, yeah.
Right, well, yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Okay, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good. Thank you.
Town managers report or comments from, you've been home for 24 hours?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to offer because I've been gone. Just a little heads up. So the Ralph Wright hearing that was scheduled was postponed. We're waiting for it to be rescheduled. Woodsville, we filed all of our documents with the court and waiting to hear on that. Jennifer and I are working on the warrant and the wording for warrant articles. And that an initial draft of that went to Darwin for his input, and Jennifer and I are now working on that further. We're working our way through the process of developing the town report. Joanna Bly is taking the lead on that, and we're helping her where we can. She's doing a pretty good job getting everything together so that we can be on schedule for printing the town report. Trying to think what else we have going on. Transitioning property records and land use over to Jennifer and Joanna as well. So tomorrow night's planning board meeting, they're going to be taking the lead tomorrow night. I'll still log in, but they're going to be taking the lead on that. And other than that, I don't have a lot new. I'm working my way through a few tweaks to the budget that was already provided to the advisory budget committee. And the advisory budget committee set their schedule, which has now been published on the town's website calendar. And all meeting invites have gone out to advisory budget committee members, select board members, and department heads and others who need to be involved in the budget development process for recommendations to the board regarding the budget. Just a little tidbit, I am putting together a PowerPoint presentation regarding the fire departments, the Newtown Fire Department, and some scenarios that were developed by the Fire Department Committee. So I want to be able to present that mid-January for the public so that they know where that stands well before town meeting. We'll probably have a couple of different meetings before we get to town meeting regarding the fire department. The goal also being to be able to present to the Haverhill Corner precinct and their residents so that they're aware of what the fire department would look like should they vote to join the town fire department on town meeting day, including financials and organizational structure, those sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to doing that mid-January. Right now, I think that's about it. By the next select board meeting, I'll have formal reports again. Unfortunately, I was gone over the last 2 weeks.
I know, you mentioned the budget hearing meeting, so they're being held here, and I got an email today asking people who are wanting to attend to limit how many people in this room, so most people should participate by Zoom. So
Yes.
I know fire departments, and sometimes they'll fill the room. So we're asking that a limited amount of people, maybe just the chief show up, and people are welcome to attend, but by Zoom, so we don't overload this room.
Yeah, there's, on the advisory budget committee, there's a few individuals who have compromised health or family members with compromised health, and they've requested that the attendance of their advisory budget committee meetings be minimal. And so they're asking for, there to be a representative, surely, from each department, or for the ambulance service or each fire department on the nights that they'll be considering those sections of the budget. But they've asked for all other members of those organizations to log in via Zoom to give their input, should they want to give input, or the public. So that's to keep the advisory budget committee and their families safe and healthy.
Anything else for Bridget? Thank you, Bridget. Jennifer, Finance Officer's report and comments, please.
Yeah, so you guys saw Bridget forwarded you the 2018 audit and the audit letters. I've looked at them, Bridget's looked at them. The information contained in the letters really isn't new to us. We realized, there have been some deficiencies in, the financials and getting them reconciled timely, which is why we've made some of the changes that we've made, hiring a new financial administrator who will be solely dedicated to financials. And so now we've got the 18 done, we will be moving on to the 19 audit for that. We set the tax rate for 2020 last week, and the total tax rate for the town is $28.41, which is a decrease of $1.89 from last year. Last year's tax rate was $30.30. To break it down even further, the municipal tax rate this year is $7.89. That is an increase of 59 cents from last year. The county is $1.83, which is an increase of 5 cents. The local education piece is $16.68. That is a decrease of $2.38. And the state education piece is a decrease of 15 cents. It's currently at $2.01 this year. The town's portion went up a little bit. When we were setting the tax rate, we could have used fund balance to bring it down to where we were last year. But we've seen that there was already a significant decrease in the tax rate. And with COVID-19 going on still, and not knowing what we'll see for revenue next year, we decided that we were going to just leave the fund balance alone, leave it in there, so that if we need help next year, we're able to help keep the tax rate down next year. We're already, the DRA is telling us to consider that the meals and rooms tax would be about half of what we received this year. And they don't even know about highway block grant, where that funding will be this year. So we were conservative, and the tax rate did go down $1.89, so we left the town portion alone. Village district tax rates for this year, Haverhill Corner came in at $1.14, so they saw a decrease of 9 cents in their tax rate. Mountain Lakes was $4.84. They also saw a decrease of 9 cents for the year. North Haverhill Water and Light stayed at 98 cents. They went down a penny. And then Woodsville Precinct came in at $3.51, which was an increase of $2.29 for their tax rate.
What's the percentage of the fund balance for 2021 or 2020?
We were right around 8%.
Around 8%?
Yes. Let me see if it's.
I thought that was here.
We're at 7.46%.
Oh, you're close.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think considering everything this year, the revenues were a little bit higher than I anticipated after receiving. They were still down from the previous year. And another thing that also affected the tax rate was the town had voted to increase the disabled veterans credit. So that also had caused some of the increase in the tax rate because you have to account for those additional funds for the people that are receiving that. But I'm happy with where we ended up. I'm glad to see we're still around the 8% in fund balance. In fact, when Bridget and I were setting the tax rate, we were talking with our municipal advisor, and she said, that in the past, HABO kept it very, very low. Their fund balance was around 2-3%. She said Glenn didn't like to keep very much in the fund balance. She said she is happy to see it around 8%. You can go up to as much as 15%. Anything more than that, when they start thinking, or 17% is the maximum recommended. Anything more than that is just excessive. But I'm happy that we're hovering around the 8%.
So another thing that you might talk about a little bit, Jennifer, is unspent funds from the 2020 budget. So we have.
Yeah, we do have unspent funds. We had a lot of the salaries for police officers that was compensated by COVID. And of course, some of the officers leaving also helped keep the police salaries down. And there's other departments that, are underspent. Some are overspent, like welfare. But I think overall, we're going to see that our expenditures will be under, and so that will help build up the fund balance as well for next year.
Which will help us additionally if next year we have a loss of revenue through the state and need to make it up. So we were pretty cautious this year with our spending, and department heads did a great job really being very careful about what they spent. And so I'm pretty happy that it looks like we're going to have money that carries over and we can add it to the fund balance so that if we need it next year, we can have that available.
Does the town receive the precinct budgets now?
No, we typically, right now, what we typically see is just the fire budgets that come through.
Just
The precincts, I don't know what their schedule is for setting their budgets. They usually get those into us around the time when our budgets get into the town report. They'll send us their budget to add to the town report.
So 3 or 4 precincts, 3 of the 4 precincts dropped their budget. We do not know why Woodsville's tripled. We do not know. Is that right?
So this is based off of their budget for this year, and I think part of it is the recalculation of the Woodsville Road money that we've done. So they've had to raise more in taxes. But I don't know if that is the entire reason for the increase on their side.
Jennifer, do you have access to the precinct budgets in the portal?
I have them from 2020.
But not the ones that have been submitted to the DRA, or they haven't been submitted yet?
It would be what this tax rate was based on.
But just like the town, the precincts haven't submitted their 2021 budgets yet to the DRA.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I suspect that Woodsville's revenues were less than they have been in past years, which would result in an increase in their tax rate. And they also did go 3 years with no tax rate.
Okay. Anything else, Jennifer? Any questions for Jennifer on the tax rates? Okay.
Yeah, I get it. Jennifer, with bookkeeping in town being caught up somewhat and paying on time, well, budget committee revenues will the books be closed earlier? I mean, in the past, it goes all the way through January, and the books they don't get closed so that you really know what the revenues or the carry forwards are. Is it going to
So
be?
what I want to do is the book should really only be open until halfway through January to pull in those straggler invoices and stuff like that. Most of 2019 has been balanced as far as, the revenues. And they're really the only thing that we're waiting for right now for 19 are just a few straggling invoices that we need. And so I'm hoping that we'll get those invoices for this next cycle. If not, and we know that there's invoices out there, we'll look at possibly encumbering funds to cover those so that we can get the books closed.
So that would be, I think it would be good. Just watch it over the years, and it's, most bills, the end of December,
Yeah.
most of them sent out, they'll move to the 10th, be current, and it only hurts 1 year if they don't get the bills in on time. But it would give, when you carry 1 month into the next year and it never gets cleared up, it's, no, I look at that as an advantage looking forward. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Commission committee reports. Howard? On the board tomorrow night? Steve?
No.
Matt?
Airport, we had a meeting on the 9th. We discussed some zoning regulations with Guy Well. He said DuBois and King are to answer some questions we had about our upcoming, trying to figure out the zoning for the airport, and speaking about the FAA and some of the regulations and requirements that they have imposed on the airport and the town for continuing to have the airport in good standing with the FAA.
We having issues with the tracking? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Great. I understand the highway department plowed the runway.
Yes, so the tractor's down for repairs, and the highway department plowed the runway, and Ralph is clearing around the hangars himself until the tractor can be repaired. It's in the shop now. And so Colton and I discussed any future storms between now and when the tractor comes back, and I think we've agreed to have one of our supplemental plow companies coordinate with Ralph to be able to plow the runway as needed.
Correspondence, Woodsville versus Town of Haverhill case structuring letter. Who has that?
That was, it should have been in the email that I sent you all. Basically what that is it's a letter from, well, our lawyer forwarded it to us regarding the Woodsville Haverhill case that's pending. And what has happened is that our lawyer had been working with Woodsville's lawyer to develop a schedule. It's basically a schedule for discovery and, providing documents and depositions and those sorts of things to get to trial. And Woodsville had asked for all of that to occur and us to go to trial in February. Our lawyer said that was not going to happen because there's just way too much preparatory work to do to get into the courtroom, and the courts are not really hearing cases readily, so they're backlogged. So our lawyer requested that it be sometime mid-2021. And the case structuring letter is basically approval by the court for a schedule that puts us into court, I think I can't remember exactly, I'd have to look it up, but I think it's in August or September of 2021.
September 13th of 2021 was the requested trial date. They estimated the length of the trial to be approximately 2 days. So that's when we'll be looking, probably around that time. But given COVID and the backlog, it still could be pushed out further than that. But that's what we're scheduled for right now. That's what they've approved.
Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome.
Correspondence, Haverhill Corner precinct letters to the select board. There are 2 short letters here. Haverhill Corner. One is regarding fence painting. Dear Select Board, we would like to take this opportunity to personally thank the Select Board for purchasing the paint for the 2 fences on the Haverhill Corner Commons. We look forward to our continuing professional relationship with the Select Board of the Town of Haverhill in the years to come. Thank you for your time, friendship, and support. Signed, Commissioner Michael LaVoy, Commissioner Alvin Estes, and Chairman Doug Dutow. And the Select Board did not purchase the paint, but the taxpayers purchased the paint, but thank you. The second one is regarding the Mildred W. Page Trust. Dear Select Board, we would like to take this opportunity to personally thank the Select Board for granting us funding once again this year from the Mildred W. Page Trust. This money will be used for repairs to the Haverhill Corner Fire Department roof. The funds will help reduce taxes for the taxpayer who would normally be paying for the roof repair. Thank you for reducing taxes. With all your funding help, we now have the necessary funds to complete the repairs to the fire department roof as needed. We look forward to our continuing professional relationship with the Select Board of the Town of Haverhill in the years to come. Thank you for your time and friendship and support. Sincerely, Commissioner Michael Boyd, Commissioner Alvin Estes, and Chairman Doug Dutow. I also have, and I'll pass these down, I have a couple of Christmas cards from various folks, so I'll just pass them around the table. Anything else on correspondence from anyone? No. Comments of Select Board members, any comments? No comments.
We like to one.
I'm sorry?
One. I just want to wish somebody a Merry Christmas.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude.
No, that's fine. I just want to wish everybody have a happy holiday.
Thank you. You too. Same to you.
Same to you.
Happy holiday.
That goes to the public as well.
Anyone else have a comment on the Select Board? Okay, moving on again. We do have a need for a non-public session, 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2C. We get a 5-minute adjournment. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it, yeah.
Second by Steve. Those in favor will say aye, those opposed nay. Matthew, aye. Howard, aye. Fred?
Aye.
Steve? Aye. Charlotte, aye. 5 minutes, we adjourn.
Go back and ask Jennifer a question.
Thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Do we want mail? Bridget?
No, we'll just have everybody exit the meeting if that's okay. Are you empty in that room?
Yes.
Yes, they are empty in this room.
Okay, because we're the only ones left on Zoom.
Jennifer, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, here. This is you, right? Right.
So this, in 2019, this was a combination of the bookkeeper and myself.
Okay.
And then in 2020, Bridget separated it, there was myself and the bookkeeper.
Okay.
And then now in 2021, this is the financial administrator and the bookkeeper, and I've been moved up.
Oh, so we are there.
Under, under assistant.
Oh,
town manager.
where?
Assistant town manager.
Okay, so you, okay. I was like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
As long as the assistant stays in front of my name.
Oh, come on. Come on, you have fun.
Richie does a very good job being on. I don't want to step on her toes.
Oh. What are you doing?
We're not live anymore, right?
We're not live on Facebook, no. Nope, I shut that down.
What's this non-public about?
I don't remember. Unfortunately. Darwin, what's our non-public about again?
I'm sorry? Well, I'm not talking about. Oh.
What's the non-public for again?
Oh,
The town report dedication.
Oh, yes, yes, okay.
That's the question, me?
I don't think the superintendent was particularly impressed.
With
with
you?
our conversation. She said, she said, everything I've heard about you is true, she said.
Did she?
She said, did you just call me stupid? I said, no, I called the school board stupid.
I wish I could have heard that whole conversation.
I was headed in and she was headed out. I asked her for 5 minutes, so we went upstairs.
All right. Good for you.
That's what she does at 16.5 million every year, so I like that.
I told her she might get more than 50 voters this year if she did it our way.
Did you really? I don't doubt you said that.
I'm a taxpayer.
I agree.
Let's go.
I used to love no salt, and now all of a sudden I'm out again. Wow. I used to, I got a lot of junk in the mind. I saw the town go, I wish I could get that price. I paid $50 more a ton than the municipalities pay for salt.
That's something they should have paid, last year paid $30-something more than they would. Just that difference.
I'm paying $107 a ton.
Town's paying 57, right?
56 and some change, yeah. Saw the bill for that.
Stupid question. If the town gets that bulk discount, why doesn't the town buy it in bigger quantities and
Get storage, it's full, good storage.
They can.
Let's go on one of
I think Cargill sets the municipal rate and it goes through the distributors. I don't
No, but I'm saying if people, in other words, like say you're one of the people who does the, what do you call it, the the supplemental plan.
Yeah.
Right? If
Okay,
you-
yeah.
Are you?
No, I don't.
But like if you were, so then by extension, it's saving the town money. So, in other words,
On supplemental stuff.
Another time.
okay.
A motion to enter non-public session made by, I'll make that motion. Seconded by, RSA 91-83, Roman numeral 2C. Matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person. Roll call vote to enter non-public session. Matt? Here. Alex? Aye. Britt? Aye. Steve? Aye. Darwin? Aye. Unanimous. Entered non-public session at 7:11. Description of matters discussed. We are going to discuss town report dedication. In the past, it has not only been for someone who's dead, but also someone who's alive. But Tina put together what I call the dead list. We can't vote on this tonight because it's not the end of the year. So there might be another, hopefully not, but there might be another name or two added. There are 4 pages there, so it's a quick preview, so at least we can get an idea of who we might want to dedicate this to at our next meeting. And I need to return that to Tina, so her review it. Is that the right word? Yeah, I think so. Preview it. Take a gander at it. There you go. And we can just bat a couple names around maybe. We'll need to bring this up again, but
You do one dead, one alive?
we can.
Is that what
We did that last year, wasn't it, with Mount Lake's gentleman?
Yeah.
The couple, right?
Yes.
And in fact, he did it with Howard, he was,
Yes.
in fact, he's still alive. Dan and Patricia Brady.
Dan Bishop, that's right. Because Dan passed last year. So
This is just good for dead people, that's all. And then someone has to write it up. And I was sure, yes, I should have gotten more copies. That's all right.
Howard says half of the younger than me. What are we doing here?
When you die, we're not going to dedicate it to you again, just so you know.
Only one per customer.
Isn't that, it kind of, the face was kind of red when you did it.
It was real red. Most of the content came from your daughter and son, so don't be blaming. Make sure you blame the right kid.
You want names to bat around?
Oh, sir.
Alex, you want names to bat around yet?
Sure.
someone in there that I've batted heads with. We've agreed, we disagreed, but, I would think maybe he might be considered with the Larry Norcross. Precinct Commissioner, Fire Chief, Precinct Commissioner, I think a couple different times. Put the name out there. Brother actually died this year too, so.
Fred, any suggestions?
No. No, I'm passing.
Deb or I, nothing? No?
I'll pass on mine too.
That's it. I'm going to throw out John Page Senior. Other than precinct commissioner, I don't know what else he was involved in, but.
John or Norm?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Norm. Thank you. Correct.
Well, you two hit the two names that I saw that rang with me on the way through, so,
Okay.
I think that, well, yeah,
Norm did work for the town for a little bit,
yeah,
doing janitorial work.
and he was a precinct commissioner, but
So let's mull that over and we'll take a vote next meeting, and see if there's anyone to be added to the list.
I think Larry wore a couple more hats than, well,
Okay.
There can be multiple dedications. Right.
I can't hear you.
I said there could be multiple dedications. We've done dual dedications before,
Yeah.
so.
All right. Anything else? For the dead list? Motion to leave non-public session, return to public session made by Matt, seconded by, seconded, Fred. Those in favor will say aye, those opposed, nay. Matt? Aye. Howard? Fred? Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Carolyn? Aye, unanimous. Public session reconvened at 7:17 PM. Motion made to seal these minutes, question? If so, motion made by
I'll make it.
Steve, seconded Matt. Seconded by Matt. Those in favor will signify by saying aye, those opposed, nay. Matt? Aye. Howard? Aye. Steve? Aye. Ooh, screwed up. Fred? Aye.
You just want to forget about it, don't you?
Just trying.
Darwin, aye. Unanimous. These minutes recorded by Darwin. So we are in public session, and we have one thing left to do. A motion to adjourn made by Matt, seconded by
Steve?
those in favor will say aye. Matt? Aye. Howard? Fred? Aye. Fred? Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Darwin, aye. Unanimous. We are adjourned at 7:18.
Not bad.
Wow, pretty good.
Amount of paperwork, we got an email, and it's really good.
I hope you all have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Stay safe. See you soon.
Drive fast.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow, Jennifer.
All that email